Okay, a couple of things. What if I wanted to have the background change color over the animation that I've made? And then secondly, apparently at some point I'm supposed to render this thing, whatever that means, and end up with a little movie file. So let me just show you a couple of things on how you might go about doing those two things. I'm sharing my screen. We're going back to what else? After Effects. And here's our bouncing ball. More or less happy with that. What I'd kind of like to do is have this background transition to say a lovely blue color as that ball goes across. So let me just stop the animation, press your space bar. There are a bunch of drawing tools up here in here. We use the drawing. We already talked about how to use the pen tool. There's a text tool as well. You can set type in here and have it move or change or become opaque or something. But I'm going to grab this rectangle tool. I don't want to have anything selected when I'm working on this thing because it will assume that I want to make a mask out of it. So it will, and I guess I should make that clear. If I have that guy selected right there, and then I start to draw this, notice what happens? See that little mask symbol next to my cursor? That's what I don't want. I don't want to have this be a mask. If I just grab it, it says you're drawing a shape, and there's a little star. It's the star shape. I want to fill this with a color. I can go back in here and play with my bleh and get something that's, quite, I don't know. There we go. That's a lovely blue. So then what I can do is grab that shape and just drag it right across my comp layer, my composition. So now I've got that shape that is going to cover the entire thing. And you think, Tom, maybe you don't realize this. You just covered up everything. I know. What I'm going to do is on this layer, here's my shape layer down on the timeline. There's my contents. In fact, if you wanted to play with that color at this point, you could come down here and say, fill 1 is this color. I want to change it. That's a great place to do it. So you could mess with it there. So there are contents controls, and then there are transform controls right under that. There's my transform controls. I want this to be invisible. In fact, I want this to be invisible for the first 2 seconds and then gradually appear, okay? I'm just making this up, obviously. So I can do one of two things. I could say, I'm gonna make this invisible here, use my little stopwatch, or I could just actually grab this blue thing, this blue bar is the timeline. I can grab that and say, I don't even want that thing to exist for 2 seconds. So now, until I come along here, it won't even be there, and then snap, it'll suddenly be there. So I've just brought it into existence at 2 seconds. You can work this way. You can say I want it to be invisible, opaque, opacity of 0, or I don't even want it to be there until now. And this is kind of an easy way to build your timeline. If you have 40 things in your timeline, it's an easy way to say, I only want this to be here for seconds 2 through 5 or whatever. So now that we're here, what I'm going to do in this timeline is say, you, my friend, are going to be opacity of 0 at that point. And then by the time I get to 5 seconds, I want that to be opacity of 100%. Am I all the way over there? I hope I'm all the way over there. And then I want opacity to be whoop, beautiful. So now what I should see is that blue bar shows up there, gradually changes. And now you're saying, yeah, but it covers up the ball. Right. Just like Photoshop, just like Illustrator, just like InDesign for that matter, you've got control over these layers right here. The shape layer is on top of the wood ball. I'm going to drag it underneath, and suddenly I've got that fading out as it goes. Now I want to introduce you to the happiest noise available. We're going to go to our composition here and say, I want to add this. I'm happy. I've banged around in this thing long enough. I'm thrilled. Everything's perfect. That's right. It's a work of art. So I'm going to add it to the render queue right there. So what it now does is say, I'm going to go to this render queue that shows up in the timeline down below. Let's stop the animation so you can see what's going on. So here's my render queue. You have to get in line. You can't just start. You have to wait. It's very Canadian. I haven't yet told it. You see what it says? It says I'm going to make an MP4 file, which is a little movie file, but I haven't told it yet where to go. So I have to tell it what folder to put this into. I'm going to choose that one, save. And then it says, okay, it actually hasn't done anything yet. This is the button right here, this render button way over here on the side that says go. So then I hit that button, it walks through the entire animation, and it makes the happiest noise available. Isn't that cool? Then what I go find out is if I switch back into my Finder and look at my After Effects CT3 Project 3 After Effects, I've now got Comp 1 MP4. If I double click that, it opens up in QuickTime Player, which is my version of what an MP4 player it looks like. If you're on a PC, it's a different animal. Press your space bar, and there is your happy animation with the blue showing up and 5 seconds long. Hopefully that makes sense to you. I welcome questions, and I also am thrilled to look forward to seeing what you do. So long.